This is Shelley Craft coming to you live on SNNLive. We're at the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium 2016 here in Vancouver. I have with me Wayne Taylor, Heron Resources Limited. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols. It's HER on the TSX and HRR on the ASX. Welcome to SNNLive.
Thank you very much for having me on, Shelley.
It's good to have you. Let's start out with an overview on Heron.
Certainly. Heron Resources is an Australian-based natural resources company. We have a project located about 3 hours drive out of Sydney. It has a bias towards zinc. We also have copper, lead, silver and gold. It's a polymetallic deposit, very high grade, easily accessible, as I said, 3 hours drive out of Sydney. And we pitch ourselves as, I guess, one of the near-term zinc producers in a market that is coming to be, will bring a great focus on zinc due to a shortage of supply.
And zinc has been one of the base metals doing pretty good this year, as opposed to like copper, for instance.
Look, it is, and it's driven by fundamentals. There is a real shortage of zinc coming onto the market, increased consumption, and we do see quite a significant gap between the actual availability of metal and the supply, and the consumption, sorry.
What stage are you at? Exploration, development, or production?
We're still in the development stage. We've just released a feasibility study which was lodged on SEDAR a couple of days ago. So we're now entering the project funding component of the development phase.
So now it starts to get interesting.
Absolutely. It is an interesting time for us.
So when you produce your base metals, for instance, do you arrange offtake agreements in the local regions, or how do you dispose of your, how do you exploit your resource?
Yeah, look, we intend to produce 3 concentrates, a zinc, a lead and a copper concentrate. We've tested the market with what we anticipate to produce. Needless to say that the market is really void of new supply, and there is a strong desire to get hold of this material. We've approached a number of the main off-takers that people may be familiar with, and they've shown very keen, a high level of interest in getting hold of this material.
Well, to me, it seems with your relative geographic closeness to China, that seems like a no-brainer.
Look, absolutely. Yeah, we can book fairly reasonable shipment costs to get our product to that region, and it is still the growing consumption area on a global basis.
So let's get back to the resource. You filed 43-101s, I take it, or you're about to. What's inferred, what's indicated, so I get an idea of the size of the resource?
Okay, we do file 43-101s. We basically have to meet compliance on both the Australian market and the Canadian markets. We have 2 components to our resources. We have an underground resource which is high grade, which is really the interesting part of the project. We also have a very large tailings retreatment component of it as well. So we've defined a reserve base that sees around nearly 3 million tonnes coming from the underground, high grade, and 9.5 million tonnes coming from the tailings component. And that gives us about 9.3 year mine life, good level of zinc, lead and copper production, and delivers some very good business case results, which is obviously giving us the impetus to take this project forward. So
as a polymetal find, what percentage of it is gold, or is that just, you don't even calculate it, it's just there?
Yeah, look, we look at it from a revenue contribution basis. So around 48% of our revenue comes from zinc, mid-20s on the copper, around 15 on the lead, and then combined silver and gold makes up about 10% of the revenue.
Let's get a glimpse into the management team.
Certainly. We are a group of operational people primarily. We do see ourselves as being the constructors and operators of this project. We cover most of the technical disciplines required. We've been through this type of process before, both from a technical, operational and also a commercial standpoint. So we think we're reasonably experienced to actually do this, and that's the intention.
So infrastructure, I mean, I know you're 3 hours out of Sydney, roads.
Infrastructure is fantastic. This operation has operated in the past, and it closed in 1998. It ran for 20 years. So we have New South Wales state grid power on site. So our connection points around 350 metres from the plant site. Our road construction is 350 metres off a sealed heavy haulage road. We have nearly 500,000 people within driving distance to the site, so we're not going to impose a remote site cost base on this particular operation. Very spoiled in terms of existing infrastructure.
Where do you think the company will be milestone achievement-wise in about 18 months?
It's a very good question. We see ourselves, provided we can get a sensible funding structure together to see construction start, we do expect to see ourselves constructed in 15 months once we start. That puts us in the first half of 2018 to start production. Forecasters are suggesting that is a very sweet spot in terms of where zinc and the supply-demand balance is likely to be at that point in time. So great time to be delivering product to market.
One last question for our audience. Let's get your website out there if you would.
heronresources.com.au.
Ladies and gentlemen, Wayne Taylor, Heron Resources Limited. It's a publicly traded company. I'm going to give you two symbols, HER on the TSX, HRR on the ASX. I'm Shelley Kraft. This is SNNLive, and we're coming to you live from the Sprott Natural Resource Symposium 2016 in Vancouver. Wayne,
Thank you, Shelley.
pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.